everybody, my name is Senkara, and I am here to show you today, finally, the Creator of Light FTK/OTK. One turn kill the Creator of Light. So, this is my deck profile for the Creator of Light deck. If you haven't already, be sure to check out yesterday's video in which I showcase this deck in action so you can see how exactly it runs and how effective it actually is, because it wins about like 90 to 95% of the time, I would say, I can pull this off. So it's pretty consistent and it's actually really good. I wouldn't say it's meta because, you know, it doesn't hold too well to negations, but it can still play through like an Ash Blossom or something. But with too many negations and destructions, this deck will unfortunately crumble, but that's why we have several different ways to win. So, first of all, the Creator of Light, Horakhty. Let me just, for those of you who don't know, let me tell you what this card does. So you summon this card, special summon by tributing Slifer, Obelisk, and Ra. Their original names have to be that, so you can't substitute it for anything else. And when you summon this card, its special summon cannot be negated, and when it's summoned, you win the duel. So that's pretty much it. You just need to summon all three of these, and then tribute them for Horakhty. Sounds easy on paper, but it's not so much. So one of the biggest problems that we run into with a Creator of Light deck is the Winged Dragon of Ra cannot be special summoned. That's a problem, but I have a way to get around that, fortunately, thanks to newer cards that have been released. So let's just go through the deck right off the bat, and then I'll explain afterwards if you don't already know how to win. So first of all, we got one Slifer, one Obelisk, one Ra. Of course, we need those, and the Creator of Light, our main win condition. Next up for the rest of the monsters, we have the High Priestess of Prophecy, Magician's Souls, and Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. So why are these guys in here? Why the High Priestess of Prophecy? High Priestess of Prophecy doesn't have much use other than for a Magician's Souls, but also she has effects that fix Spellbook cards to special summon this card for some bizarre reason. I don't know. For whatever reason, you might need to special summon this card, and this deck does run Spellbook, so she just works with that and is a level 6 or higher spellcaster. And next up, the Spellbook Magician of Prophecy obviously adds a Spellbook spell from your deck to your hand, which will be either Spellbook of Secrets or Spellbook of Knowledge, depending on which one you've already got in your hand or graveyard. Cool. Alright, that's that. Next we have Broken Bamboo Sword. Obviously, know why that is. 3 Cursed Bamboo Swords. So we only need 1 Broken Bamboo Sword and 3 Cursed work, because when Cursed is sent to the graveyard, you can either add a Broken or Golden, which is obviously very useful, and also Cursed itself is a Bamboo Sword equip spell, which is needed for a Golden Bamboo Sword. So after that, we've got 1 Foolish Burial. You'll use this to send either Obelisk or Slifer to the graveyard. 1 Foolish Burial Goods, which you'll use to normally send Cursed Bamboo Sword to the graveyard, though it also works with Pantheism of the Monarchs. Both of these cards have effects that activate when they're in the graveyard, but normally you'll use it for Cursed Bamboo Sword to get more Golden Bamboo Swords. Next up, we have 2 Frost Blasts of the Monarchs. This has 2 reasons for being in the deck. The first reason is just for a discard for Pantheism. The second reason is that its second effect can still actually be quite useful. You can banish it from the graveyard to destroy 1 set card on the field, and you can use that twice. So if you can't get off the Horakhty, or well, even if you can, it's good to just clear your opponent's back row as much as you can, just in case. Next we have 3 Golden Bamboo Swords. This card is basically Pot of Greed. It's stupid, it's ridiculous, and it's searchable with Cursed Bamboo Sword. So Golden Bamboo Sword, fantastic, need that. 2 Hand Destructions is just a good draw spell. 1 Link Bound. This card is actually a really good draw spell. When used properly, you'll use it to draw 4 cards by sending Skulldred back to the deck, and that's pretty insane, being able to draw 4 cards. You then have to put 4 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck, but that's fine, you'll just get rid of some cards that are useless at the time. So Link Bound, fantastic. Draw 4, love it. 2 Magical Stone Excavations. Now, Magical Stone Excavation, you will need to keep 1 of them. I have 2, just in case. There are a few things you can do with double Magical Stone, in case you don't get Millennium Revelation, or you can just use 1 to bring back a Golden Bamboo Sword or something, but you will need to keep the other one. You cannot use up both of them until the time is right, because one of them is important to the strategy. Next we have Memories of Hope. This is just another draw 4 card. It's absolutely insane. Special summon the 4 Gates of Numeron and then draw 4 cards. Like, it's ridiculous. Next we have Millennium Revelation. This is one of the key cards in the deck, this is how you're going to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra. I'll get into that later. Monster Reborn, of course, this is how you're going to summon all of your Egyptian gods. A Numeron Calling and 2 Numeron Network. This is, again, part of the Numeron engine that goes with Memories of Hope. So you use Numeron Network, activate Numeron Calling, hopefully from the deck. You don't really want to draw it because that's a waste of a hand card. And then you'll summon the 4 Gates of Numeron, which you'll then use Memories of Hope and or go into Saryuja Skuldred. I'll talk about that a bit more when I get to those cards, but that is the point of these cards, is go into the Gates of Numeron. Now, just keep in mind, before you use Numeron Calling, you want to have already used Spellbook, Magician of Prophecy, or Magician Souls. Generally, you'll only use one of them, simply because with Numeron Calling, can only be activated while you have no monsters, and when you activate it, you can only normal or special summon once for the rest of the turn, which we want to use our Skuldred for. So if you use this, you won't be summoning any of these after. So use this as a last minute only after you've used one of these monsters and then gotten rid of them with your Spellbook of Knowledge. Next up, we have One Day of Peace. This card is fantastic. Lets you draw 1 card and also protects you for a turn, which you will normally need. It's not actually that likely to get an FTK with this deck, but an OTK is no problem. Again, this comes down to Numeron Calling. You'll more often than not have to use Numeron Calling, in which case, obviously, you won't be able to summon all 3 Egyptian gods and the Creator of Light all in one turn that turn. So you'll have to wait till the next turn, in which case One Day of Peace completely protects you from all damage, so no problem there. Next we have 3 Pantheism of the Monarchs. This is discard 1 Monarch spell or trap and draw 2 cards. You can discard Pantheism, you can discard Frost Blast, generally you want that, but just discard whatever you have in your hand. And then it's a Pot of Greed, draw 2 cards, nice and easy. Also, you can banish this card from the graveyard to reveal 3 Monarch spell or traps. Your opponent chooses 1, add it to your hand. So this will get you usually another Frost Blast. I don't think any opponent would want to give you another Pantheism, so you'll normally get another Frost Blast, but this just thins out the deck anyway and gets you prepared for your next Pantheism, so that's a-okay. Next we have Perform Power Popper-Up. This card's great, lets you draw up to 3 cards. I don't often use it because you also take a lot of damage, but it can let you draw up to 3 cards, which is fantastic by discarding up to 3. So yeah, that's a pretty good card, pretty good. It's like card destruction basically, except you don't lose any key cards because you get to choose. Next we have a Pot of Avarice. This card's actually pretty fantastic since we very easily get 5 monsters in the graveyard with the Numerons. And then it just gives us, 1 main deck monster back in the deck and then draw 2 cards. Sometimes not even that, but generally, yeah, 1 main deck monster back in the deck and draw 2 cards. It's a really easy draw too. It's fantastic. Next up, we have 2 Spellbooks of Knowledge. You can only use 1 per turn, but we want 2 because this is just a good card to have. It's a very easy draw too. It can be searched with Spellbook of Secrets, which we also have 1 of, and Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. So either of these can search out your Spellbook of Knowledge, and you want at least 2 because you do actually want to get this card to get rid of your Magician of Prophecy or your Magician Souls after you've summoned them and used their effects. So next is the Spellbook of Secrets, then we have Terraforming, just add your field spell, and Upstart Goblin, just to draw 1 more card. Nice and easy. So yeah, that's the main deck there. So let me explain the strategy of that before we move on into the extra deck. So the basic strategy of this deck is extremely simple. Send Slifer and Obelisk to the graveyard with either Foolish Burial, Hand Destruction, or just during the end phase, if you have too many cards in your hand, discard whatever you have. So you want to send both of these to the graveyard. Then what you want to do is you need all these cards in your hand. So you need the Winged Dragon of Ra, you need the Creator of Light, you need Millennium Revelation, Monster Reborn, Magical Stone Excavation, and 2 other cards. So you'll want to end your turn, generally, if you have to end your turn, you want to end your turn with a full hand, with all of those, plus 1 card, and then next turn you'll draw another one. It needs a lot. Yeah. Unfortunately, this deck relies on a lot of cards, and honestly, it would be easier to use Exodia. I will just put that out there now. It would be easier to just run Exodia. But it's not as cool, that's why we're doing it! It's definitely not as cool as summoning the Creator of Light, so screw Exodia, we're going full ham. Okay, so, here's what you want to do. Once you got these 2 in the graveyard, you need all of those cards in your hand, then you use Monster Reborn, bring back Slifer or Obelisk, that's 1. Then you want to use your Magical Stone Excavation to discard 2 cards, bring back Monster Reborn, use it again, special summon the other one, your Slifer or Obelisk. That's 2. Then use Millennium Revelation, discard the Winged Dragon of Ra, that gets him in the graveyard. I suppose it would work either way. You don't necessarily need to have Ra in your hand, you could have Obelisk or Slifer in your hand, but you need at least one of them. Discard that, add Monster Reborn back to your hand, and then use Millennium Revelation, send it to the graveyard, activate Monster Reborn, special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra. And then you tribute all 3 for the Creator of Light. Simple, right? It is. I mean, it is. Once you have all the cards in your hand, it's pretty straightforward what you need to do. Just remember what you need. So you need 2 gods in the grave, 1 in the hand, Horakhty in the hand, magical stones, Millennium Revelation, and a Monster Reborn. That's what you need in your hand and graveyard. That's how this deck works. The rest of the deck is just draw spells to get you to that point. And that's it, really. That's the whole strategy. Now, in the side deck, you'll see, this was my original strategy. Before I use Magical Stone Excavation, I use these 2. Now, why do I have them here still? Because they are cooler. They are cooler. The true name, using that is cooler. I showed that off in the first duel in yesterday's video. I went for the true name route, but after that I went back to Magical Stones. Magical Stones is more consistent. The problem with using true name is that with all these draw spells, you're very likely to draw all of your second Egyptian god. So with this, you'll want 1 god in the grave, 1 in the hand, and 1 in the deck. Not Ra though, you can't have Ra in the deck. Which is a bit of a problem because you're drawing a lot, so you're very likely to draw into them. Now, it's easy to put them back with either Linkbound or Skeldred, but then even after that, if you need to add cards to your hand, shuffle your deck for whatever reason, like Pot of Avarice or anything like that, before getting the last things you need, then your deck gets shuffled and you could very well draw into that god again, and then you're screwed. You're screwed. You can't do anything after that except not win with Horakhty. So yeah, but basically the strategy for that, if you want to go the cooler route, it is more difficult, not as efficient, but it is much cooler. Then what you want to do is you want to have all those same cards in your hand plus these 2. The other thing is Spellbook Organization can be added with Secrets and Prophecy, so that's just another key thing there that helps out, and you can add this card to your hand, one of the key cards. But what you want to do then is have both of these, plus Reborn, Millennium Revelation, Ra, and Horakhty with one of these in the grave and 1 in the deck. Then you use Spellbook Organization, rearrange top 3 cards of your deck, don't put a god on top, remember what's on top, use True Name, add the top card to your hand, special summon the god from your deck, then Reborn the other, Millennium Revelation, discard Ra, add back Reborn, and then Revelation, Reborn into Ra, and then Horakhty. So it's basically the same except you add True Name. But like I said, this is nowhere near as efficient as just using magical stones, so yeah. If you want a cooler, I mean, you can side deck it. If your opponent knows you're using the stones and are prepared for it, somehow prohibitions it, I don't know, then you can side deck in your True Name and Organization. But yeah, this is just better. This is just for the coolness factor. Alright, let's go into the extra deck now. So, first of all, obviously, we have the 5 gates of Numeron, numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, the 4 gates of Numeron, numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then Chaos numbers 1, Numeron, and Chaos Gate Sunya. This is just another win condition. You can, of course, OTK with the Numeron gates and with Sunya, so that's why we still have Sunya in there, but that's not really what we're going for. Next we have Super Dreadnought, Rail Cannon, Super Dora, numbers 81. We got Super Dimensional Robot Galaxy Destroyer, and Super Dreadnought, Rail Cannon, Gustav Max. And these are your 3 rank 10s. These are just extras that you can go into. So you can go into Galaxy Destroyer. He'll get rid of all spell and traps your opponent controls. If they have something like dangerous and you can't win without getting rid of it, then you can go into this and boast an impressive 5,000 attack points, which is pretty insane. Then you have Super Dora, you'll probably never go into, but, you know, he has some uses. He protects a monster from targeting, and he can definitely be used for an OTK. You're more likely to go into Super Dreadnought, Rail Cannon, Gustav Max, who can deal the finishing 2,000 points of damage, which I showcased in yesterday's video. You can attack with 2 of your gods and then deal the finishing blow with Gustav Max, or you can simply go into Gustav Max or Super Dora and then go into Super Dreadnought, Rail Cannon, Juggernaut, Liebe. With its effect, you can summon this using a rank 10 machine and then very easily OTK with this monster. So you can detach 1 material, it gains 2,000 attacks, so it makes it a 6,000 point beatstick, and only it can attack, but it can attack 3 times, pretty much. It can make, during each battle phase, this card can make attacks on monsters up to the number of materials it has, +1. So, it's pretty insane, and will probably win the duel for you if you can't summon the Creator of Light. This is obviously better, can't be negated, and just wins the duel. But if you can't, for whatever reason, you don't draw all the cards, or your opponent negates something, I don't know, then you can go into Juggernaut Liebe and finish them off. Lastly, we have the Link monsters. This is just pretty standard stuff. We got Nightmare Cerberus, Nightmare Griffin, Nightmare Phoenix, and Nightmare Unicorn. These will just get rid of anything, any pesky cards that might be in the way and stopping you from winning. I've never had to go into them before, but you never know. They're just all good for getting out of a sticky situation. Then we have Link Karibo. This is here because we have a level 1 that is easy to go into, and I do go into Link Karibo sometimes. Sometimes you might get the combo ready to go, or you might not, and you just need to protect yourself for a turn. Link Karibo can help you out with that. And finally, we have Saryuja Skull Dread. This card is important. You summon him by sending the 4 Gates of Numeron to the graveyard to go into Skull Dread, and then he lets you draw 4 cards, and then put 3 from your hand back on the deck. So he's a simple +1 with that effect, and it's insane. It gets you 4 cards from your deck, and then you just get rid of any useless ones. So yeah, Skull Dread, as we all know, is a stupid draw spell. Now you can also use him if he survives for your opponent's turn. You can actually use this guy. This is another out with the True Name strategy as well, in case you draw a god. You can use his other effect to special summon one monster from your hand, that being Slifer or Obelisk. So he just gets out one of your gods as well if he survives, and if you need to use him. If you can't get off the Reborn strategy for whatever reason, you can't get another god in your graveyard, you can use Skull Dread to bring that out. Never had to do that before, except when I was running the True Name strategy, but it's still an option. So yeah, that's it. This deck is actually very consistent. It's basically just the strategy plus a crap ton of draw spells. So, I mean, it runs fine. 1 turn, Creator of Light, sometimes 2 turn. It might need a 2nd turn just to actually pull it off, but you know, you got the 1 day to protect you. So, I mean, really, it's 1 turn, and normally you want to go 2nd because having that extra card really helps. I mean, there's a lot of dead cards in this deck, but it works. It can FTK. Better to do it. Better to go 2nd, unless you're really worried about negates. But it worked. And it works a lot better than any other strategy I have seen to summon the Creator of Light. You know, all the other decks have like their 1-card combos, but that is not remotely consistent at all, ever. It never is. And so this, as far as I can tell, is the best way to do it. At least without Soul Charge. I mean, if you're running ban cards, then hell, freaking Soul Charge this shit. That would be so much easier. Get rid of Reborn, you don't need these either. Throw in some more draw spells, Soul Charge, just get stuff to the graveyard, Soul Charge everything back, and you don't even need this sometimes. I mean, it just depends what you're running. The Soul Charge strat is definitely better, but unfortunately it is banned and this is a legal deck. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, this deck profile of the Creator of Light, OTK, that we've all been waiting for. Be sure to check out yesterday's video because, like, it came out really awesome, you know. Just go watch it, okay? It's epic, it's awesome, you're gonna love it. If you like Yu-Gi-Oh!, if you like gods, you're gonna love it. Also, be sure to click the card above or the end screen to see the rest of my Egyptian god decks. I did 2 Egyptian god decks, a bunch of Obelisk and Slifer decks, and a Winged Dragon of Ra deck, so you can check those out on the channel. Subscribe, satisfy me, and leave a like and a comment down below for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps me out when you do. Give this video a share if you could. And once again, thank you all so very much for watching. My name has been Senkara, and until next time, see ya.